Hi, I'm Christa Jacobson, headmistress of the Budo Ryu Kai, and today I'm going to give you guys a quick preview about the new book Shinobi Zukan. Now, I have made a few notes so I don't miss any points throughout this video. I do want to say that this video is going to be for my vlog, and as a reminder, all my vlog videos are unedited. So if I fumble my words a little bit, stay with me. But yes, we have now released a new book, and it's called Budo Ryu Ninjutsu Shinobi Zukan. Now, what this is a book of It's a book of reflections, a book of mirrors, okay? It's us looking back at the first decade of Budo Ryu Ninjutsu and remembering all the good times that we had, and I'm sharing that with all of you. Now, it's more than just a book of memories, though. And what I mean by that is every one of these years that we went through the first decade of Budo Ryu Ninjutsu, I wrote all the best points of the year, but I also talked about all the trials and all the different things that we did that didn't go so good, some of the criticism that we ran into, all the ups and downs throughout the first 10 years. I wrote about it in this particular book. And I wanted to share that with my students. I wanted something where people could go back and remember all the things that happened the first 10 years. Now, as you guys can see on the cover, it does say Shinobi Zukan Volume 1. And the reason for that is, hopefully, the Budo Ryu will be around a lot longer than just the first 10 years. We are in our 11th year. So hopefully I can write a Volume 2 and a Volume 3, etc. before I end up dying. So that's the goal. But I want to go through each chapter with you guys so you guys can get a little brief description, okay? The first chapter is actually the introduction. And the introduction isn't a preface of the book, it's actually the introduction of Budo Ryu Ninjutsu. So many people don't even realize what Budo Ryu Ninjutsu is. What they do is they just think that it's Budo Ryu Ninjutsu is the study of the 7 traditions. And that's absolutely incorrect. Budo Ryu Ninjutsu is a study of 5 areas called the Goho no Keiko. And the Nana Musha-den, or the 7 warrior traditions, is just one of the 5 areas of training. So I really dig deep and I explained what exactly Budo Ryu Ninjutsu is, and that is the introduction of the book. That's chapter 1, Introduction of Budo Ryu Ninjutsu. What is Budo Ryu Ninjutsu? The second one is the beginning, and that's chapter 2, and that's going to be called the beginning, and that's 2004, 2005, and 2006. So all 3 of those years are in one chapter, and I did that because those 3 years I taught Budo Ryu Ninjutsu at my health club. I used to own a health club. So anyone who says that anyone on the internet that says anything to do with 2006 or back with me would be completely just not true, because I wasn't even teaching here in my house at that time. 2004, 2005, and 2006, I was teaching Budo Ryu as classes within my health club. It wasn't until 2007 that I shut down the health club and then decided to go more global and widespread and putting the lessons and the teachings out more worldwide. I guess that would be the way to explain that. So that chapter, the beginning, 2004, 2005, and 2006, I talk about all the things about what it's like to start your martial art program, the problems that I ran into, why I decided I was never going to have a kids curriculum. Yeah, I talked about that. Why I decided I was making it mandatory that we had to have sparring and physical requirements, and I really get into it so people can understand where I came from and why I made the decisions that I did. Chapter number 3 is called Out of the Shadows, and that's 2007 and 2008. And that's me discussing, why I shut down the health club and why I dedicated myself to Budo Ryu Ninjutsu, and I teach here and to the students who want to come and train with me. So I talk about the ups and downs, what it's like at that time in my life. I was shutting down a business that was fairly successful to coming into a complete unknown of running a martial arts school with very few students. I didn't have a lot of students at that time because I was going from a health club to here, so there wasn't a lot of transfer of students. But I talked about that and I shared my experiences and the things that we did with the Budo Ryu Kai at that time. Okay. Now 2004, this is where a lot of people 2009, this is where a lot of people start having more fun with it, chapter 4, that's called The Challenge. Anyone who remembers back in 2009, we had some schools here in Kansas City that was giving me a lot of flack, to say the least, and my martial art that I created of Budo Ryu Ninjutsu, it would never stand against a proven, martial art and this, that, and the other, and So in 2009, like I said, if you guys followed me long enough, you know that we had the videos up. I wrote many articles about it in the Shinobi no Mono magazine. We had the Shinobi no Mono challenge, and I challenged all of them to a specific competition, and and I wrote about what happened during that time when I invited them all to show me how real their martial art was, and to come to the challenge and test their skills in taijutsu and jujutsu and swordsmanship and stick fighting and all the other different categories that we had during that particular time. So I talk about that. Chapter number 5, the Geisha, 2010. I'm not for sure where people come up with this idea that when I started in adult entertainment, I started working as a courtesan, an escort. I don't know where they get the idea of where that started from. I got a strong feeling that it came from something very perverse. You know what I mean? So I talk about why I started working in adult entertainment, why I started working as a courtesan, what happened in my life at that time, and you know, I just put it all out there. Again, I'm just trying to be open and share my experiences and how that affected the dojo and what was going on at the time. And you know, so I think that's one of those chapters that a lot of people would like to read, like how do you go from being a martial art teacher, you shut down a health club to teach martial arts, and then all of a sudden you start, you know, working as a courtesan along with running a martial arts school. So I talked about the progression of going from the things that I was doing in my life at that particular time. That was 2010. Chapter number 6, A New Age of Ninjutsu. So we're talking about 2011. 2011, as many of you guys know, we started doing videos with the historical ninjutsu research team and Anthony Cummins. And although that was a very short-lived thing as far as the whole spectrum of Budo Ryu Ninjutsu, the first decade of our training, it's very hard for a spectator, meaning someone's just looking at myself, looking at us, and they followed us for 10 years. When you look at that graph, you can't overlook the fact that in that year, 2011, 2012, that kind of stuff, and 2011 was the first video with Anthony Cummins, and I think it's The True Path of the Ninja, right? You can't overlook the years that we spent making videos together. That is something that happened, and I talked about that. I talked about why we started. I talked about you know, why we were making the videos, why I had no problem working with the group or Mr. Cummins. And you know, if you guys are looking for me to say anything negative about anybody, I can assure you that's not in the book. I speak my mind directly about certain things that I guess some people can take negative, but I didn't mention anything negative or anything that even could be taken negative towards Mr. Cummins or the historical ninjutsu research team. I just talked about why we started, and I also explained why we left and we went on our business and we started doing our own thing. But that was a kind of a big part in the timeline. The next one is chapter 7, and it's called The Truth. In 2012, so we're now in 2012, that was the year that I probably took the most criticism, whether it was writing my first book, Shinobi no Mich, to many other things that happened that year. I took a lot of criticism, I took a lot of heat, and you know, I'm not the kind of person that just sits here in front of a camera and talks to you guys all the time about the stuff that happens behind the scenes. The stuff that I do is I talk about ninjutsu, I talk about the lessons, but I'm not going to sit there and answer the critics. I'm not going to make videos, you know, demanding answers or getting involved with all the drama. That's not me. That's not my personality. However, because this is a book of mirrors, I wanted to make sure that I took the time to say, you know, this is what happened. This is what was said, and I made sure that, you know, I put forth correct information regarding that year with all the things that we endured. And again, that would be 2012. Chapter 7 is called The Truth. The next chapter is called Ninjutsu Hypocrisy, chapter number 8. So now we're looking at 2013, and again, I talk about the things that were the ninjutsu community at this time, 2013. It was pretty much broken into, I don't know what the categories or areas. Everyone had their own clique at this time. If you guys can look back a couple of years ago, shit was kind of hitting the fan in the ninjutsu community, and now it's just dead. Everyone just does their own thing and no one talks to each other, you know, and it pretty much is because of, you know, specific groups doing that, you know, but it is true, you know, and I talk about the hypocrisy in ninjutsu. I talk about how certain groups say one thing and here's the reality, here's the truth. This is why the ninjutsu community is just, it's just full of hypocrisy. Anyone who claims anything and they're not willing to put it out there. I think that, you know, you'd have to, you shouldn't go and blast other people, you know what I mean, when, you know, you can't even prove your own school's legitimacy. And yeah, that chapter, I think, if people were gonna not like the book, that would probably be the chapter. You know, kind of point blank with that. But anyway, I talk about the hypocrisy in the ninjutsu community. Chapter 9, The Way, 2014. I can honestly say right now, it's the end of 2015. I can honestly say last year, you know, I really came into my own. I could really give a shit less about any other ninjutsu organization. I've been doing this, like I said, Budo Ryu Ninjutsu now has been going on. We're almost in our 12th year, because it started in 2004. It's going to be 2016. So we're going on to our 12th year that I've been teaching ninjutsu. You know, over 10 years, you know, over 10 years at a worldwide level here. And, you know, I think that in 2014 I called it The Way because I really came to my own. When I went back and looked at the 2014 photos, it was just like, I just didn't care about all the other organizations. I didn't care what people were posting. I didn't care what this person was saying. I was doing me. I was doing Budo Ryu Ninjutsu, you know? And yeah, and I just wanted to share that. I was like, you know, at that point it was like, if you guys can think back almost a couple of years ago, because really we're looking at 2016 here in a couple of weeks. You know, if you go back a couple of years, he was like, fuck it, you know, I'm an escort, I'm a witch, you know, I do nude modeling, here's naked pictures of me, here's me teaching ninjutsu, and it's kind of like live your life to be free, you know, live your life to be happy. And I really talk about the freedom and the happiness that I felt just being myself and teaching the martial art that I've come to love, and that's Budo Ryu Ninjutsu. Now the last, chapter number 10 is called Soke Anshu Christa. Now this is something that is important on many levels. And the people who are in the know why. The people who are practitioners and dedicated to the art of Budo Ryu Ninjutsu will know why. But outside of the reality of it, of what's in that chapter, I put a lot of images of my social media and posts that I made, so people, because I wanted to document certain statements that I had made over the last so many years of Budo Ryu Ninjutsu. But I also wanted to take the time to document all ranks, grades, titles, and explain the different schools that we have, why we have so many schools, who are we working with, who is working with us and teaching Budo Ryu Ninjutsu, who are the students, etc., etc. I really wanted to document that because I have so many people that take my videos and use it for their own self-gain. They buy my DVDs and then they teach my material and call it their own. I just had someone just yesterday take a video off of my page that I just shot with my phone. It was just, okay, we're doing a video. Upload them, and they took my video and then made an advertisement for their school. And they teach Taekwondo. This was a ground grappling video. I have people all the time that take my material and they use it for personal gain. I have people that say that they've trained with me and they haven't. I have people that say that they've got ranks and Minkyo from me and they haven't. And I wanted to make sure that I documented, look, here's the first decade of Budo Ryu Ninjutsu, and as to date, here are the black belts, here are the people who are instructors, here are the people who are running schools, here are the people who have actually received Minkyo from me. Here are the people that received Minkyo in this art, this art, this art. I mean, I documented it because I wanted it to be, there's the facts. If anybody says anything other than that, it's not true. And I thought that that's very important. Now again, does that hold much water to someone who's a critic or someone who they're not part of the Budo Ryu Ninjutsu martial art or the Budo Ryu Kai? No, because I can't imagine the opposition giving a shit who my black belt is, who my black belts are, who my instructors are. I can't imagine a critic giving a damn. However, it does matter to the people who study Budo Ryu Ninjutsu. It does matter, because those people should know who are the instructors, who are the people that have earned black belt ranks, who are the people who have received Minkyos. So the people who are in the know, the people who are studying this martial art, it matters. The last one is called Back Pages, and that's just me naming it that way just because that's just me being me. But that's just the bibliography, me talking about, you know, where this da-da-da-da-da. So anyway, this book is called Shinobi Zukan, and it is a reflection of the first 10 years of Budo Ryu Ninjutsu. And I had fun writing it. I know Mr. Chafin had fun helping me edit the book and all that kind of stuff. And I really hope that you guys enjoy the book. So instead of making this video a lot longer and giving you guys more in depth, I'll just say that the book is over 400 pages long. There are hundreds of pictures of ninjutsu and bujutsu that's taught here at the Budo Ryu Kai. And I also want to make sure that you guys know, as a heads up, look at the photos and the things that we're doing previous to 2011. That's also very important to see the type of things that was happening in 2004, 2005. As you guys can see, I was teaching survival classes back in 2004 and 5. I was teaching ninjutsu and all the things that people want to deem this, that, and the other. You guys should look at the photos. Look back then and look back at what we were doing then and what we're doing now. You guys can see that we've stayed the course, and we've just gotten better at what we do. And I think that shows the strength of this particular martial art and the strength of the students in this organization. So thank you guys very much for all of your love and support. I deeply appreciate it. I will put a link below to the softback or the paperback version, as well as the hardback version. If some of you guys would like it hard, it's there as well. And yes, thank you guys very much for all of your love and support. Until next time, take care, be safe, and good luck in your journey of Budo.